What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got a spicy one today. We're going to be looking at the value of graded 9 Pokemon cards in comparison to what their raw value is, and I gotta tell you, with this modern stuff, it's pretty eye-opening, to say the least. Thank you guys so much again for checking out the video. My name is Kyle. This is Spin Out Cards. Now, I'm excited about this video for a number of reasons. One, because it's different than the stuff I usually put out. Two, because it'll be nice to have a timestamp. It is January 16th, 2024 that I can come back and reference, in 6 months or 12 months from now. And then three, because grading cards always entails an inherent risk. Holding a card in your hands, thinking that it's a 10, and then sending it off, assuming it's going to be a 10. I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that those days are over, and the cards that you're going to be sending in need to be evaluated with far more scrutiny. And you'll see why. Let's get into some of these numbers. Okay, let's get straight into this. Now, if Pokemon content on YouTube is your thing, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe. I'm constantly putting out Pokemon related stuff. It's pretty much all I do. And with that shameless plug out of the way, let's get straight into this. Now, I'm going to be using Pokedata.io for the purpose of this video. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the top 5 most valuable raw cards. We're going to look at what their values are in a PSA 9, and we're going to see what the difference is, and I think you're going to be pretty shocked. Obviously, with Paradox Rift, Roaring Moon EX, the value in a PSA 9 is $123.44, and then TCG Player, I'm going to go off TCG Player prices just because they tend to be the most reliable, $90.10. Now, if that comes back to you, you stand to gain $33.34. After that, you got the Iron Valiant EX in a 9, $85 flat. TCG Player has it as $54.76. And that stands to gain you $30.24. Goldego EX PSA 9, $30.75. TCG Player has it raw for $35.81. Then you're going to lose $5.06. Professor Sada's Vitality PSA 9, $23.01. TCG Player $29.06. You just lost $6.05. And then last but not least, the Garchomp EX PSA 9, $29.13. TCG Player has it as $28.13 raw. You made yourself a buck. Okay, next up we got Scarlet and Violet's Finest, Pokemon 151. Surely it couldn't be the same story. Top 5 cards: Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur, Zapdos, Charizard. Charizard EX, PSA 9, $131.41. TCG Player, $119.72 raw. That's $11.69 gained. Blastoise EX in a 9, $53.70. TCG Player, $46.66. That is $7.04 gained. Venusaur EX, PSA 9, $47.51. TCG Player, $45.42. That is $2.09 in your favor. Zapdos EX. Now, I just sold this card on eBay for $45.99 plus shipping. Today, it's listed as $43.69. TCG Player has it as $41.71. That's $1.98. And then last but not least, the Charizard EX, PSA 9, $42.97 in a 9. TCG Player, $36.65 raw. That's $6.32 gained. Now, bear in mind, this isn't even including the shipping costs to and from these grading companies. So, okay, Obsidian Flames, Charizard Go brr. We're going to look at only the Charizards from this set. So, obviously, we have the Charizard SIR, PSA 9, $78.10. TCG Player, $59.89. That's $18.21 gained. The Gold Charizard EX, PSA 9, $41.29. TCG Player Raw, $24.49. That's $16.80 gained. And then the regular Charizard EX, PSA 9, $24.64. TCG Player, $18.23. That one is $6.41 gained. And then last but not least, the shiny Charizard EX, PSA 9, $29.23. TCG Player, $15.38. That is $13.85 gained. Not so much going on. Okay, last but not least, we are going to look at Evolving Skies, because if we didn't, it would not be a Pokemon related video. So obviously, we are all pretty familiar with these 5 at the top of the list here. The Umbreon VMAX, PSA 9, $538. TCG Player, $543. That is a loss of $5 in a PSA 9. Now, as you can see, it's pretty hard to get this in a 9 compared to a 10, but Rayquaza VMAX, $237.52 in a 9. TCG Player Raw, $244.51. That's a loss of $6.99. Leafeon VMAX, $150.78. Raw 165.27. That is a loss of $14.49. And then the Glaceon VMAX 133.04. TCG Player 148.91. Yeah, loss of $15.87. And then Sylveon VMAX PSA 9 125.33. And Raw is 135.46. That is a loss of $10.13. Remember when I said it was pretty eye-opening? Okay, that was a lot of information. Thank you for hanging around to this point in the video. If you haven't already, at this point, leave a like on the video. But some closing thoughts, because I don't think it's all bad. Now, as we're scrolling through this list, you see the raw values of these cards. They're still quite high for a piece of cardboard. And if you're someone that is really just looking to flip cards back onto the market, it's probably worth a consideration if you don't think it's gonna knock that perfect 10 to just move the cards raw, because as opposed to them being out of your hands for a month, 2 months, and the value is probably gonna drop in that time anyway, it might be worth it to just flip it up on eBay and keep it moving, because then that's money that's back in your pocket that you can reinvest into whatever it is that you're trying to do, sealed product or more singles. And then a really important point to make is, like, if you're grading your cards because like you love a specific Pokemon, or you're trying to get like a graded 1 through 10, none of this matters. Like, put it in plastic because you care about it. And I feel like that's a super important point to make, because I have graded so many Alakazams that have come back as like 2s and 3s just because I love Alakazam and I have no intent. Like, that is for me, that's not for somebody else. Super important to say that out loud, because I think a lot of people think that grading is only to sell it, and that's like super not the case whatsoever. And this really leads me back into the point that I made in my previous video, which is you really need to do the research, because if you're thinking that you're going to send these cards and they're going to get a 9 or an 8 and you're just going to make your money back like that, that's just not the case anymore. Like, the days of the 9s to the moon, I think, unfortunately, are not current. That's certainly not to say that they won't return or that they haven't been in the past, because if you've been any type of involved in this hobby, you already know that that's not the case. And do I personally believe that the 9s will retain value and eventually start to, climb in the upwards trajectory? 100%. Yes, I do. The last thing is that everybody saw those PSA 10 prices as we were scrolling through this video. There was a reason I didn't acknowledge them as we were scrolling through the pages, because this is a video about what to expect with PSA 9s, CGC 9s. The 10s still definitely turn a mega profit if you are someone that's going to be flipping those cards. It is certainly worth it if you think you have a card that is a perfect 10, and I think that your fine-tooth comb needs to be sharpened and applied vigorously, because obviously a 10 coming back does stand to gain you pretty substantial gains of money if you're going to be someone who is flipping these cards. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for the video. It was a lot of fun making this video. It was a lot different than the stuff I usually do, and yeah, 9s are just not in a great place right now, but I don't think that's to say that it's all doom and gloom for sure. So thanks for hanging out. I'll see you all in the next one.